Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thomas's Reading Room. This is Thomas here, and we're doing the book trip across the pond. Now we're starting with chapter 20 of the book. We're getting in the latter part here, and so let's go. Let's get going right now. This 20th chapter is Forced March 7 miles. Forced March, folks, is when you don't stop. You don't take a break. Okay. So, formation took place on the road and in front of our company. The sky was cloudy, the air was cool, and everything seemed still. I do not remember when there were so many items attached to my body. Looking over a list of items that would be needed, I began to check off each one. There was the helmet, of course, M16 rifle with one of the two clips that were taped together, inserted into the rifle, 2 bandoliers of ammunition, towel, gas mask, trenching tool, sandbags, sock filled with K and C rations, bayonet, 4 canteens filled with water, backpack and radio, extra battery, paper and pen, and SOS manual. Oh, almost forgot my Mickey Mouse watch. That had been a surprise in a box of Cracker Jacks. It was made out of plastic and was red in color. Of course, it did not have the ingredients to work. However, for me, it was a way of displaying my character. It hung from the left lapel of my shirt. When figuring the total weight out of curiosity, I was carrying close to 80 pounds. Walking out onto the road, I greeted Captain Culbreath and the first sergeant. Everyone accounted for, we marched to battalion headquarters and picked up at the rear of battalion, following Charlie Company. 4 companies of men forced marched out to places unknown, at least to the men in Delta Company. Our lugger position lay 7 miles ahead of us. It was not long into our forced march, and the straps from my backpack began to dig into my shoulders. A half-mile further, and there came the cry of my body as the straps dug in further. Like a fellow soldier told me once, "There's pain, though it does not hurt." We were moving in 4 files, and the point soldiers began to cut their way into the dense jungle with machetes. We would be held up for a minute or two, and it gave me time to bend over, allowing the weight of my equipment mounted to the backpack to rest on my back. Close to 5 in the evening, and we reached our lugger position. A few hours later, and it began to get dark, then suddenly we got into a firefight. Fuck! Everything was going crazy, it seemed. To make things even more hair-raising, I discovered that the 4 junior radio telephone operators knew nothing about the radio or what to do. There I was, sitting on the ground with one phone from the company radio to my right ear and the other phone from the battalion radio to my left ear. The only word between conversations was, "Break!" And you could listen to the 2 people talk simultaneously, though you could not talk to 2 people simultaneously when the messages were different. The radio was hot. Communication was moving at record speed, and there was no time to be fucking around. Our soldiers' lives depended on our efficiency. After a couple of hours, the fighting had stopped. There was no KIA or WIA, at least from our side. It started to rain, and the rest of the night contended with me sitting with the 2 radios. Not only was I pissed to the far corners of Mars, I also was soaking wet. The remaining 5 days consisted of search and destroy operations. It rained 24 hours a day for those remaining 5 days. There was not a dry spot on me at any time. However, those junior radio telephone operators got into line real quick, as the law had been laid down by me. Whenever there was moisture, the radios would jam the frequency, and anyone that was on that frequency would be out of luck if they had a message to send. It seemed I was the only radio telephone operator who could keep the radios free of jamming. After being awakened 3 or 4 times during the night, that shit got old real quick. Those junior radio telephone operators would have to learn somehow. It would be up to me to teach them. 5 days concluded, and we marched back to camp. As Delta Company marched by the laundry, there was that young girl that had the job of cleaning battalion headquarters. She looked at me, gave an ugly look, then took her right hand and drew a straightened finger across her neck. "Crocodile, number 10,000, she said with disgust written over her face. I figured I could kiss her little ass goodbye now that I was going out searching for her friends. Smiling inside, I thought, easy come, easy go. We would stay in base camp for the next 2 days. Well, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie would get to kick back, though Delta Company would have to go on a small operation. No big change. We were to go outside base camp and pull perimeter around the village of Dao Tiang. The National Police would go into the village and drive Charlie out. When Charlie would flee the village, we would pick him off. That sounded simple to me. 4 in the morning, Delta Company moved out into the rice paddy next to the perimeter of our base camp. We walked in 4 files and were moving toward the village of Dao Tiang. It was pitch black out and extremely difficult to see. We were still paralleling the perimeter of our base camp when Captain Culbreath, a second lieutenant, his radio telephone operator, and I stood up front by ourselves. I happened to be looking in the direction where I saw a red and yellow flash and then heard a whoosh. There was not a place to hide for cover, so I jumped and turned 360 degrees simultaneously, attempting to fly as far as possible. I landed on a flat part of ground, absent of any cover. Shit began happening. Everyone was screaming and weapons was blazing everywhere. Captain Culbreath reached and took hold of the headset of my radio and attempted to get a hold of battalion headquarters, though to no avail. The radio would not work. Soldiers were yelling, "Stop firing! We're GIs!" It became obvious that we were receiving fire from one of our bunkers that some garrison soldiers were commanding. Damn it! They knew we were Americans. They only wanted to fire on us. Soon Charlie opened fire on us from the other side of the rice paddy. Now we were at a crossfire. Fuck! Our own soldiers were shooting at us from one side and Charlie was shooting at us from the other. I lay there waiting. I attempted to suppress myself below the ground. Thoughts raced through the mind. When am I going to get hit? I don't have any cover. When am I going to get hit? Shit. I don't want to get hit in the face. I never cared about getting shot, though having my face splattered on the ground or surviving with a fucked up face was more than I could bear. To get hit in the face for some reason bothered the hell out of me. Captain Culbreath leaned forward toward me and looked at the radio. He put his hand on it and did something that I was all oblivious to at the time. He began talking on the radio to battalion headquarters, and in a short time the firing from the bunker had stopped. Charlie had even stopped firing. Captain Culbreath told me that the knob for selecting frequencies had been turned. We figured when I flew through the air and hit the ground, I hit the ground so hard that the frequency knob turned as a result of the impact. We learned the garrison soldiers that were commanding the bunker had not been informed we would be going through the area. They had fired a grenade launcher, that's what I had seen, and the grenade landed between 2 of our soldiers in a rice paddy. It tore one of the soldiers' hip, pretty bad. My company's first casualty created by our own soldiers. The garrison soldiers from that bunker said if we got 50 feet closer, they were going to set off the Claymore mines and open with their 50 caliber machine guns. Captain Culbreath, second lieutenant, his radio telephone operator, and I would have been jelly should that have happened. Pissed incredibly, all I wanted was to go over to that battalion and shoot every one of those bastards. They knew damn well we were Americans. Those sons of a bitches only wanted to open on us. It took a long time to cool down, and I did not think for a minute that I would ever forget. I was beginning to get a clear picture of man, the human animal. The rest of the day back at base camp was spent cleaning our equipment, test firing weapons, and attempting to rest. The next day, Captain Culbreath spent much of his time with us, playing catch with a football, chasing each other, and being one of the soldiers. Driving Captain Culbreath to one place and another, I became his listening post, so to speak. Our relationship with one another was growing, and I felt good that he could tell me things that he would never tell anyone else, nor would I tell anyone what he had told me. September 14th. 1967, Thursday, 6 p.m. Got a letter from you today, Mom, so this is a chance to write. I just came back to Tianjin and tomorrow we'll go back to Daotiang. It's good to hear that my fort is finished, and look forward to seeing a picture of it. I have 89 days left. Then I'll be in the States. I think I'm getting a promotion come shortly. We'll advise you on it. Time is still going fast, and that's one good thing. But it gets harder and more dangerous as time shortens. We will close for now and write more later, writing both of you the best of care. Of Tom. 89 days left. Okay, folks, that was our first march, and the next chapters coming up will be changing of colors and more operations on chapter 21 and forward. I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much for taking the time and listening to this true story of the most bizarre, bastard event in our history of mankind. Thank you.